Okay, I said I was going to pick you up on the third pod, but I forgot that outside of the second pod, you can see the overhangs and the condition of the sidewalk pretty well. You can see here, this is one of the overhangs that has, inside had been turned into covered walkways. They're very rusty. They need at least scraped off and painted. There are probably areas beyond damage that would have to be repaired. But you will also see this sidewalk has shifted and settled, and you can see a nice big tripping hazard down there. And so in our estimate was to replace this whole area of sidewalk. Not the sidewalks around the entire site, but this area of sidewalk we did estimate to replace. Okay, we're in the hallway. We're going to go towards the third pod. Right now what they did was, there was a courtyard here once upon a time when there was just the separate buildings, and they filled it in to make a nice library, which is great. One of the things we want to notice about the library is the door is wide open. It's hard to see from here, but along with all the classrooms, the doors are wide open. All those doors need closers on them to make sure that the hallway stays safe, not only from smoke, but from fire in case there is an event. Again, the goal is to get everybody out of the building as fast as possible. You'll also notice this is not your regular trash can, and it has little buckets next to it. That is because there is leaking that has been going on. This isn't the only location in the school where there's leaking. The roof has been patched many times, as many schools do, and they've done a really great job of it. It's just basically beyond its life and needs replaced. Okay, this is down that hallway looking towards the third pod, but I want to stop here for a minute and throw a sort of customized architectural term at you. This is called a dead-end corridor. Basically what happens is, this was the hallway that we were in, and here's the exit. We want everybody to go out if there's a fire, and there's the third pod. Basically a dead-end corridor is a corridor that doesn't have an exit at the end. Typically if people are in a fire, they panic, even if it's a building they're familiar with, and that's why we had to put exit signs on so that they remember where they're supposed to go. At the end of this hallway, there is no exit. So if somebody decides to run down there in a fire, we want it to be short enough that they don't have to run very far before they realize that they've gone the wrong way and they need to turn back around and get out of the building. This hallway exceeds that limited amount by more than twice, the required limit. So we need to be able to solve that by being able to cut a hallway into there, believe it or not, through one of the rooms and to get them out the back of the building. Again, we're going towards the third pod. Again, just like the other two pods, we have this decreased width in the corridor. I said that over by the gymnasium we went 8 feet. That's because of how many people were actually coming out of there. In the classroom wings, we went at least 6 feet, and these are 5 feet. So again, they are not wide enough to be able to get out safely. We have a little bit of a different situation in this corridor because it used to be used for younger kids, and so they didn't want lockers, so they actually have areas to hang coats. This corridor is actually wide enough to hang coats in legally by code. So that is not a problem. That is just fine. Something that we do notice here is you don't see a door going to the outside like you did in the other pods. They decided to build some restrooms here so that their younger kids didn't have to go all the way to the other end of the school to get to the restrooms, and then they closed off the door. Now when they did that, they were mindful. They were not trying to be unsafe. They actually went into the first 2 classrooms. There's sort of a grouping of 4 classrooms, 2 on each side of the corridor. And you'll see back there in the corner to the right, you'll see an exit sign. They've exited this classroom into this classroom. See that door? So they've got that door there, and then they've added a door way in the back that goes directly outside. That was the door that we saw when we were out on the playground area. This does work. They don't consider it legal, and there's a reason why they don't consider it by code, I should say. We don't want it that way because if this teacher decided to move something in front of that door because she wanted that corner, it would block them from coming through the door. Do I think this would happen? No. Do I think that Blue Ridge teachers all love each other enough to make sure that they get out of the building? Yes. So I'm not particularly worried about the kids being in here, but we do want to actually put a corridor in here. So what we would do, what we proposed in the cost was to take these restrooms out and to put an exterior door there. Now the other thing that we're going to tie in with that, which I forgot to talk about, was accessibility. When we came in the building, there were stairs. And there's really no way for someone in a wheelchair to easily get up here. They do have students who are coming up through the system who are in wheelchairs. So, along with cutting a corridor in here, we said, let's put an accessible bathroom here because none of the bathrooms are accessible either. So that's included in the cost that's been published to everyone.